झुकेगा, झुकना नहीं चाहिए।
या मैं इस वक्त आई वांट टू थैंक दिस पैनल बिकॉज जो खबर हमारे पास आई है बहुत बड़ी ब्रेकिंग खबर है, and that is the biggest breaking news story which will impact the whole world, which is that the American Supreme Court has delivered the biggest blow to Donald Trump, and it has said that he has gone past his powers, that he has exceeded his authority. I'm quoting from an NBC piece. When he imposed all these sweeping tariffs using a law reserved for a national emergency. And the US Supreme Court has said there was no national emergency, and hence this is a big Supreme Court decision delivered 6-3, which has said that Trump's approach on tariffs is a misuse of a law called the International Economic Emergency Powers Act, IEEPA. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're watching this broadcast, this means tariffs could completely go. We won't even have 18% tariffs. But more than that, if we have been made to pay any tariffs so far, then we will be reimbursed, and everybody, now Donald Trump is going to spend time giving back the money to all the countries where he took the money from, which means that America is going to be in the middle of a financial crisis. This ruling has been delivered by the Chief Justice of the US Supreme Court, John Roberts himself. And there are 5 other justices with him, 3 considered to be liberal, 2 considered to be conservative. But despite the political divide known in the bench, which America people openly talk about these things, the fact is that tariffs are gone, and Abhishek is joining me now. Abhishek, I'm first interested in knowing whether this is final, because this is the biggest ever setback that any American president has had. This destroys Donald Trump completely, and it puts things in abeyance. 1, is this permanent? B, how can Donald Trump respond? Because he's completely crazy on these issues.
Well, as I see it, Arnab, this seems like final, except for that there are caveats in the sense that the decision does not affect all of Trump's tariffs. So while the reciprocal tariffs that he has he has put on countries like Canada, China, Mexico, those stay. Some others which the American president implemented under the 1977 law called International Emergency Economic Powers Act, those are struck down. Now we'll have to find whether the reciprocal tariffs, for example, that Trump imposed on India, were they under the 1977 Act, or were they the other ones which are struck down by the American top court? But yes, this is a final decision. And in fact, Donald Trump was a little uncomfortable that this decision might come. He was warning that the Supreme Court should not affect the push he has given to balance the overall trade deficit of the United States. And that's why we saw reports like, for the first time in decades, American trade deficit has come down below $1 trillion. And this was a report just a couple of days back, and Trump himself was pushing it. So I think there was an attempt to sort of make a pushback against a possible decision of Supreme Court, cancelling the tariff decisions. But it seems the Supreme Court is not affected, and they have ultimately quashed Donald Trump's reciprocal tariffs order.
Now, I'm very concerned and very keen to know what is applicable in the Indian case. Now, in many cases, as you know, Abhishek, this tariff imposition has been a political move. Whether it is Canada, whether it is China, whether it is Mexico, or whether it is Russia, right? So these are questions. Now, from what I understand from what you're saying, there are 2 kinds of tariffs now. One is a reciprocal tariff. You impose on me, I impose on you. Second is clearly a political tariff where you say, I'm in an emergency situation. I'm going to use tariffs as a political instrument. But that was the basis. That was the entire basis of Donald Trump's tariff politics. Right? So I'm sure there's a large part which would be applicable here, don't you think?
Well, absolutely. In fact, through the campaign and then subsequently, we have seen over the last 1 year, Arnab, how Donald Trump has made tariff the chief weapon of his governance, both at home and abroad. And for him to be facing this situation where the Supreme Court has struck down the presidential order which imposed those reciprocal tariffs is definitely a setback. And remember, it comes just ahead of midterm polls. And then it gives the Democrats a handle to really get back at the Republicans, specifically the mega candidates backed by Trump in the midterms. And then obviously this is going to have some dominoes on American politics as well. But as I said, the DC establishment was projecting the reduction in trade deficit as proof of success of Donald Trump's tariff policy. And I think there must be some mechanism by which they would want to challenge this. The options seem to be limited, going by the statement that were coming from the American president when he sort of warned during the earlier hearing that if the Supreme Court exercises its quashing powers on this, it's going to be detrimental to the American economic security and overall strategic thinking as is prevalent under Trump administration.
Well, this is moving very fast. I'm seeing all the reactions come in. Saurabh Shukla also joining us from Washington. Saurabh Shukla, what are you making of this? How is this going to be handled by Trump? Can he handle it at all?
Well, it's a big development, Arnab, and obviously a setback for the president's efforts. He has been saying all along that these tariffs are very important for US's national security and personally for President Trump. Obviously, the court, which interestingly, I can tell you, court has ruled which has a conservative majority. So clearly, I think what will happen, because at this moment at the White House, President Trump is actually meeting governors from all across the US, and this ruling coming at this stage will certainly be something that the US president will be looking at, of what really happens to his favorite word. He has been talking about tariff as his favorite words, and also the impact on the economy. Although I must say, a lot of analysts are saying that this is something, may in fact help the market. The biggest challenge was going to be how will they deal with this? Because obviously they were not expecting this kind of a ruling coming in, because from the given information that I'm gathering at this moment, and this is still pouring in as we speak right now, is that the court has actually gone and ruled on a specific provision, that is the War Powers Act, under which these tariffs
Okay, we
was
see
imposed.
there, ladies and gentlemen. Sohail's also joining us from New York. We're going to ad break. Sohail, we have to take an ad break, and when we come back, we have the biggest panel on